Hi everyone, Yvette here from Together Sisters Create. I have a junk journal for you. This junk journal measures about 5 7/8, and it's about 8 5/8. I used some eyelets here. I did a Copic stitch, a Coptic stitch, and this is the first time I stitched it, so it's not all perfect, and I think maybe my thread was a bit thick, and it was my very first time I used it, and maybe my signatures, I have maybe a few too many signatures, and maybe they're a little too thick, my signatures, but it's pretty alligator mouth already, and I don't have very much in it so far. But this is the back. I used a couple eyelets with an elastic band to keep it all closed. I have the paper collections. This one's a Prima, and I've also used a Kaiser Craft collection. And I'll start. It has a lot of pages. I think I counted like 160 pages or something, so probably too many for a junk journal, but it was my first one and I was just playing around with it. So I put a few of my favorite photos in it so far. I don't know what I'll use it for, but I can't wait to start journaling in it. But it'll probably just be some favorite quotes and things like that. But yeah, I really liked how it turned out. I put some Sudoku papers that we flew this year, and Delta had these on the airplane, so I coffee stained them and put them in here. This is a little notepad that I bought at Michael's a couple years ago, I think. It coffee stained pretty well too. Added some washi tape. This is the Stamping Up punch that is retired, but I like using it. This is a stamp that I got at the steampunk soiree that we attended last summer in Washington, so I used some of that. But I did learn that if you stamp with archival ink on some of the papers, it goes through. So this is an old book that I bought at our secondhand store in town. It coffee stained really well too. This is just some lined note papers. I made a little pocket here. These are some cards from Becky Higgins' Project Life. And then I just made a pocket with some, and then these are some postcards that my friend Linda gave me. Thank you, Linda. And they're used, and she got them from a garage sale, so they work really nicely in there. This is a book that I also bought at the secondhand store, and it had stuff about sewing, so I like to sew, so I put that in there. I strengthened some of my pages with washi tape because they were ripping a little bit. This is either a relative from my husband or my side of the family. I've got to check with my mom and dad or Eric's mom and dad and find out. But I've seen some people use some of the Tim Holtz Lost Relatives, but I have lots of old pictures, so I just use them instead. This is also a card from Project Life. I added some banners on my paper clips, and I was going to add some jute twine and some lace and stuff, but I think it's going to make my book too bulky, so I think I'll just leave it. And this is an old hymn book that I coffee stained the papers, made a little tuck spot, and cut out some of the roses from the paper collection. This is another one of our relatives, and another card from Becky Higgins, and then I folded the card in half and made a tuck spot. This is another one of our relatives, and this is a We Are Memory Keepers card, and I wanted to see how it would coffee stain, and it did a really good job too, and added a tab punch on the top. This was some lined note paper, and it's the 5-star quality, and it coffee stained, but you don't really see the lines anymore, so, and I just left the holes on the top. I made a tuck spot with some cutouts from the flowers, some more Becky Higgins cards, Some more hymn book. Another one from that fiber sewing book. More line papers. And this is a little punch that makes an envelope, and then I have a few little stamps in there that my coworker gave me. So thank you, Tammy, for the use of some stamps. This is still the page from that Sudoku. More pattern paper, another postcard from Linda. This is more photos of our relatives. I just have to figure out whose. This is a deck of cards that my mom played with, and she plays with them and just wears them right out. So I added a few of those, a little bit of washi tape. This is some stationery paper that I've had for years, and I just thought I would try and see how it coffee stained. This is a map of Winnipeg, and coffee stained really well. This is a sheet from a journal, and I took it apart, and it coffee stained really well too. A doily, some more pattern paper, more line paper. This is books that my mom used to have, and I bought this one at the secondhand store, but I think the title is like Quick Sew, and I didn't think it was going to coffee stain really well because the paper was a bit shiny, but it did a really good job. More stationery paper. This is my husband and I and my niece. This one is paper for watercoloring. It coffee stained really well, and I kind of like leaving it up top here. This is a Polaroid cutout. Another postcard from Linda. And then here I added some cutouts or some ephemera from the Kaiser Craft or paper line that I used. I made a tab with some of the stamps. Another doily. I did iron my papers so that they were a little not so crinkly. I added some more stamps down here. And these are just some family photos that I found. I don't know if I'll keep them in there, but that's just my 3 kids many, many years ago. More hymn book. This is music paper. This was an old book, or an old page from an old book. This was my very first new car, and it got hail damage, so I kind of thought I'd keep that picture. Here was a tuck spot. Again, some family pictures of my kids. Here I added, I just folded the paper instead of cutting it off, and added a piece of ephemera and a quote, and then a tag. Added some banners. This is Sudoku. I like doing Sudokus. Here I added some of the ephemera from the paper collection, some more of our relatives, and used the lace borders for a couple little quotes down up on top. Some general ledgers, sewing paper. Here I made a tab and a banner. Used some of the ephemera to make some tabs. More old paper. Just the title up on top. More old relatives, and made a tuck spot with the ephemera on the bottom. Here I have room for 3 photos. Some washi tape. General ledgers. Journaling. More of a map. Here I ripped it a little bit when I coffee stained it, but that's okay, I left it. More relatives. Here I folded my dictionary page too much and it kind of ripped, so I added some washi tape to strengthen the binding. Another postcard, another tuck spot here. Another map, another relative. More pattern paper. Another postcard, another tuck spot. There's a tuck spot down here. I really liked how it turned out. I will do a class on this one probably. So look out for at the regular places that I teach at. Here's an old photo from somebody, a quote, and I just made a belly band with the doily and with the flap of the envelope that was on this side. Use some washi tape. Another tuck spot here. This is a new punch I just bought, so I thought I would play around with that. Lots of room for journaling and photos, and here I just made a bookmark. Just made a tab here. Another bookmark. This is the flap of the envelope, and then the envelope's on this side. And this is a Tim Holtz stamp. And then I just made a few photo mats. More washi tape and a stamp. A little tab. More washi tape. This is a card that somebody gave me. I won an album on her YouTube channel, so I will keep it in my junk journal. And here I made a pocket with an envelope, and then I used the back for the remainder of the pocket. This is a postcard that I bought at the secondhand store, and I coffee stained it. We live in, we farm, so I thought that would be suitable to put a grain elevator and some wheat. This is a stationery that I also bought at the secondhand store and coffee stained it. Made a tuck spot behind the envelope. Added a strip of stamps that Tammy gave me. More map. Another bookmark. And this is the last page. And this is my junk journal. I haven't taped for a while, and I haven't made too many of my photo albums. My parents have been a little bit sick, and the family's kind of been looking after them. So until I get my life a little bit more in order, I chose to do a junk journal that was simple, and I didn't have to think too hard. So thanks for watching, and I keep in touch, and I'll have more videos shortly. Thank you. Bye.